Hi guys, welcome back to Authentic Talks. I'm excited because we're talking about relationships today. You guys, I invited the founder of Genius Relationships on the show today. She's also going to talk about something called Creative Journal Expressive Arts. And she's a relationship photographer, also the host of Life Pics, and she shares how she came to this place of having a passion for taking pictures of coupling, relationships. Please welcome Etsy Rappaport to Authentic Talks. Authentic Talks is all about authentic conversations. This show is all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and become your authentic self, then this is the podcast for you. And I am your host, Shanta. Welcome to the show. Hi, Esty. Welcome to Authentic Talks. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm super glad to be here speaking with you.
I'm glad to have you here as well. Can I have you introduce yourself to the listeners, please?
Sure thing. So I'm a relationship photographer. I take pictures of couples in their ultimate state of love. And I mix that in together with what we call creative journal expressive arts. Really interesting of using your non-dominant hand to understand yourself and your spouse better. And I also host the podcast Life Pics Relationships podcast, where I get to meet all sorts of people and learn how anyone can make the relationship extraordinary.
Wow. Well, welcome to Authentic Talks. How exciting, Esty. You're the person that people are happy to see.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm more happy to see them than they're happy to see me because I love meeting new people.
Can you give us a little bit more? What is a relationship photographer?
Okay, so first of all, it's a term I coined, so don't feel bad if you don't know what it is. It's really just pictures of couples in their ultimate state of love and connection and whatever else emotion they want to feel constantly throughout their lives. And what we do is help them get to their state of that emotion, even just for a second, so that we could capture on camera. And then they choose their favorite pictures from the photo shoot and they hang it up on the wall like a vision board. That way it sets their mind in the direction that they want. It trains their brain, even if they're not thinking about it logically. Okay, this is what I want. Their brain sees that picture full of emotion and will try in every which way to get them to have that amazing relationship.
Oh, I think that's really awesome. Are you there for them for their weddings, or this is other occasions as well?
Yeah, so I don't do weddings. I usually do just couples regularly, whenever they want. Sometimes if a couple wants additional pictures before or after their wedding, then I do that also.
How often would you suggest a couple have professional photos taken by someone like yourself?
So a relationship photographer is not something that most people go to, and I admire anyone who does, because it's not just a photo shoot just for pictures on the wall. It's much more than that. It means you want to take your relationship further. So that will depend on your relationship and how much you think you need. For sure, right within, let's say, the first year of you getting married or you're getting really serious in your relationship, you'd want to do that, because during that state, you're still in your little honeymoon bubble sort of concept. And it's really easy to get to that emotions, and you have these great visions for what you want your relationship to be like. So for sure then, and then afterwards, whenever you feel like your relationship is losing something, once every couple of years, then you might want to reignite that emotion and get it back into you so that you could remind yourself that you could go and do this.
Do you find that you have an amazing relationship in your life?
Actually, I am not in a relationship, and that is why I don't consider myself the relationship expert. Instead, I get all the information from everyone else and pull it out of them, so that way I could go and share that information.
Oh, okay. What is your personal or professional opinion are the three most important things that you have gathered from people and yourself that a relationship should have to be successful?
First and foremost, like really, is self-awareness. Self-awareness is really important. Self-awareness is really important for every single aspect of your life. Because if you're not self aware of what you want in a relationship or how you want your relationship to go or how you're feeling in this relationship, you're not going to be able to really take it anywhere. People will tell you and give you all sorts of advice and let's say go on date nights, which is really important. But if you don't know why you're doing it or what makes you feel good or stuff like that, then those date nights won't help that much. They won't be as powerful. So it starts really before you get into a relationship. What is important to you? Like make that list of what you want in your relationship. Get really clear of about understanding yourself and get to that. And then afterwards, it's constantly throughout your relationship. It's being aware of yourself, of your partner, and of the relationship. What do you want out of this relationship? What are you giving to this relationship? What can you do to make the relationship better, etc., etc., etc. All starts with that awareness. Number two, I think, is a really important one, is based off that is the communication, but not just like, okay, communication. It's the communication of trying to really understand where your partner is coming from. So your partner goes and tells you something, you're going to want to talk to them in a way that shows them that you care about them and that you understand them. Now, to do that, I found, and from my research, is the best way is through asking questions. You're going to want to ask questions that will show your partner that you want to know more, that you're curious about them, that you care about them. So what caused you to do that? Why did you want to do that? What can I do to help you about that? When your partner tells you something and you just say, okay, then they feel like they don't really care about me. But when you take the time to actually ask questions and find out more, then they know that you're interested in them. And this is going to be even for things that are really difficult. They told you something that you're really mad about and you're wish it didn't happen. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to go and agree with them because no, you want to have your own opinions, but you want to ask them questions that will show them that you are trying to understand why they did it. So they did something that really made you mad. Okay, now why did you do that? What can we do for the future to make sure it doesn't happen again? What caused you to that? Was there something that I did that if it would have been different, things would have been different? All those sorts of questions so your partner feels they care about you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does.
For number three, I would say is you want to realize that starting after self-awareness of like what you want out of the relationship, but what it really is once you're in the relationship, this relationship is about giving. Now, I know we hear that a lot, but it's with everything. Like even things like, let's say the five love languages. Let's say people say, my love language is gifts, so I need my partner to go and give me the gifts. If you read the book that way, then you have read the book the wrong way. The point of it is to understand the five love languages, yes, to be self-aware of yourself, but then afterwards to say, okay, I am in this relationship with someone else. What is this person's love languages and what can I do to give it to them? So any sort of tip that somebody gives you for a relationship, you want to make sure that you are translating it in a way that it is for the other person and you care about the other person.
Yeah, I like that. That's good stuff. You mentioned the five love languages. Can we talk about what are the five that are out there? You mentioned one, which
Yeah, I
was
love the five love languages. I think that it's really important. A lot of people say you have one dominant one, which is like the main one that you have. And I think that there could be more than one, and it could also change over time. So just be like, keep that in mind as we discuss that like it could be right now you have one and afterwards it changes. So
I totally agree with you because you're not going to be the same for your entire life. And even within that one relationship, I feel like it can evolve and change over time.
Totally. You change as a person and life experience changes and like you want different things and your partner wants different things. So totally. So the five love languages are one we said was gifts, two is quality time, three is words of affirmations like compliments and just nice words, four is acts of service, and five is touch.
When you talked about gifts, the example that you gave, if I'm someone who feels that quality time is my husband could be like acts of service, in what way can people balance that?
It starts with self-awareness and you know what you do want, right? So if yours is quality time, you want to know that yours is quality time and you want to make sure that you find ways to fulfill that, whether it's through your partner, whether it's through someone else. You want to make sure you communicate to them that they know that your husband knows, or whatever, a friend or whatever else is, knows that this is what your love language is, because or else they might not know and they won't get it and you'll feel really frustrated. So first of all, start with yourself, make sure you know, and make sure you communicate it. It's your responsibility to give yourself that love, and you have to find ways to go and get it from others. Now, once you have that set, from a relationship aspect, you want to give your partner love in the way that is their love language. Because if yours is quality time and theirs is active service, and you keep on thinking that you're showing them love by giving them all sorts of quality time and doing a lot of fun things with them and just spending time with them, but to them, their love language is acts of service. To them, they want acts of service. It's not going to mean much to them that you're spending time with you. Obviously, it will, and they know that you love them, but not in any which way the same way that it means to you. And they just want the acts of service. You're going to be trying so hard and getting so frustrated. Why am I spending so much time with him? And he's not enjoying it, and he's not realizing how much I'm doing for him, when all he wants is you to just make him a coffee every morning. And maybe that's even easier for you. Now, we really have to train our brains to think that way, because automatically we give love in our love language. So if yours is quality time, you're automatically going to be giving quality time. You're going to want to have that conversation and discuss with your partner what their love language is, so that way you could give them their love and in the language that they want, right?
Right. Absolutely. That's good stuff. So you have a creative journal, Expressive Arts. What is that about?
Okay, that is like a really interesting thing, something like a little different than most people haven't heard of. It's something it was a method developed by Dr. Lucia Capicchione, who like discovered it while she was healing herself from a chronic illness, and then like did tons of research on it. And basically the way it works is we use the non-dominant hand to access emotions and understand yourself better and understand your partner better and just like figure everything else out. So like to help you understand it, like I would just like explain the way our brain works for a minute. So if you like science, I hope you like this, or just liking the way our body works. I find it fascinating. There's two hemispheres of the brain, right? Now, each hemisphere is in charge of the opposite side of the body. So the left hemisphere is in charge of the right side of the body, and it's in charge also of all the logic stuff like math, reading, writing, reading comprehension, all those things that we have to think logically. The right side of the brain is in charge of the left side of the body and is in charge of all the creative stuff like art, music, drama, and it's in charge of emotion. So when you write with your non-dominant hand, you get direct access to your emotions. Do you get that?
Yes, I'm following you.
Okay, good. So like once you understand that, then with that like research and that basis, we can now like go and do a whole bunch of things on understanding yourself better. So like let's say you're in a difficult situation, just to give this example. Let's say you got into a fight with your husband, or you don't know if you want to switch jobs, or you're just angry about something, whatever it is. What you'll want to do is you'll want to draw a picture. Could be little stick figures, nothing beautiful, right? You're not hanging it up on your wall afterwards. with your non-dominant hand, the hand you don't usually write with, of the situation. So let's say, for example, I got into a fight with my husband and I drew this picture. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 markers or 2 pens, something to write with, and you're going to ask questions with your dominant hand, thinking logically, and answer the questions without thinking and letting your emotions and your creative mind just answer for you to those questions. So you're going to be, let's say, speaking to the picture. It's really speaking to the situation and like speaking to yourself to understand the situation. So you could start with questions like, okay, who are you? And answer with your non-dominant hand. I am the fight I got in with my hubby. Next question, how do you feel? I feel taken advantage of. Next question, with your dominant hand, why do you feel this way? And you're going to answer whatever answer comes out with your non-dominant hand. And you're going to continue the conversation. How else can I help you? What caused you to feel this way? Is there something that's blocking me from helping me move on? What could I have done differently? Whatever else you want to understand about the situation, as you continue this dialogue, you'll get new realizations and realize things that you haven't especially thought of before.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, like, that's really the basis of it. And then we do, like, a whole bunch of other stuff, like just creative stuff with our non-dominant hand, like painting and clay and music, all sorts of stuff to access our creativity, to understand ourselves better, to figure out what's happening. Like, I mix it in with the photography, right? Just like here in this example that I gave, you drew a picture of a situation that you want. You could, of a difficult situation, you could also draw a picture of what you want your relationship to look like, or what you want your ideal life to be, or whatever it is, and then ask questions like, how could you get there? So what I do is, instead of drawing the picture, is we use the actual picture that we took of the couple, take that picture showing that love that they always want, and then we journal with the picture. So we ask questions to the picture, which is really to the feelings that we want. How else can I have these feelings? What is stopping me from having these feelings? Or what can I do to have these feelings? And then you could get like real concrete ideas and steps of how you could go and get that in your life.
Do you travel around the world, or are you currently local right now?
I love to travel. So I do travel till Corona decided to hit, but I do also do a lot over Zoom. So although I can't take the picture, you could find the picture that you want and then do more focusing on the creative journaling part of it. Hopefully when this thing is over, we'll be able to travel again.
What advice would you give someone who wanted to pursue a career doing what you do that's similar to yours?
Okay, so mine was developed over time. It wasn't like I left college and said, okay, now I know what I'm doing. I want to be a relationship photographer doing creative journal expressive arts with my podcast and with everything else that I do. It happened over time. It evolved, literally. And I think that, like, while I say what happened, just like to think of the process, the point is the process of what could happen in your career. I think it's something that, like, being open, you'll notice, well, I keep on saying I'll be open to that. Like, I was always a photographer from when I was 0. Like, I don't know, 0, I was exaggerating a little bit. But I really got paid for doing photography from when I was like 12. And I always knew I wanted to do photography, but I knew I wanted to do something else than just photography. So I left my mind open, doing in that, what else could I do? While I had that mindset, I realized that my favorite part of photography was the emotions. Greatest place to find emotions is in a couple. Okay, so now I know I'm doing relationship photography. Continue on this path. Relationship photography is great. Vision boards are great, but they don't actually solve your problems. We need something else here. Keeping my mind open for something else. It came into my door literally, and I did creative journal expressive arts. This is awesome, but we could use more tools. What else could we do? So we started more things like the podcast or Genius Relationships or other things like that. So I think my advice for people would be in general is do what you love, and then always be open to see what else you could do. How else could you make it more special, more unique to you, something that you love even more, and just develop it and deepen it further.
I like that. That's good stuff. Who would you say have been some of the most influential people in your life?
That's a big question. There's a whole lot of people. Like, I don't know if I could pinpoint one thing specific. There's obviously like my family members and my friends, but I've also been very much into self-help books and like listening to podcasts and things like that from when I was really young. So I had a whole bunch of influencers of all different style from when I was little and continue to do so. So I think that maybe it wasn't someone specific, but I would like to say the mindset of keeping myself open to want to learn new things has really had a really big influence on my life.
I'm all about mindset. I believe that our minds are like so powerful, and that through our minds, if we understand that that's a muscle and that we have to exercise that muscle, all kind of fabulous things can happen in our life. And I love what you're saying about being open. It is absolutely so true.
I think that we jump very fast to conclusions. Like a bit going back to what you asked me before about relationships. Like many times, like especially if you're in a relationship for so long and you're like assuming that they did that because of that, and like you just know what's going to happen. Or even not in a relationship, in every aspect, like we assume so many things, but that closes us down to so much. If you're like open and you're curious and you want to learn and you want to grow and you want to find out the reasons behind things, you get to know so much more, and you don't run yourself into those conflicts that happen from assumptions.
Exactly. I think that that causes a lot of breakup in relationships when you don't ask questions. I'm on my second marriage, my final marriage, and when you're in these relationships, you start to realize like you're right, more of yourself, self-awareness, and you start to observe and do all of these things. The relationships evolve. And then what I'm getting at is that you have to really like the person that you're in a relationship with. Oftentimes people can find themselves in a relationship where it's out of convenience opposed to maybe that they really want to be in it. And then when you're talking with them, you find that they're just really not happy because they're stuck. And so oftentimes when people ask me questions about my husband, I always say, I like him. And then they say, I hope so. You married him. And I'm like, no, like you don't get it. You can be married and not like the person that you're married to. So I feel like that's one of a very big element, an important piece in any relationship, because when I talk to people, as you're talking and digging, you discover that they love the person but do not like them. And there is really a such thing, I've found.
Yes. Yeah, actually, that is something that came up quite a few times on the podcast. People saying that I don't just love my partner, I like my partner. And I think that, like you said, it's something really hard for people to wrap their minds around, that there's a difference between the love that you have for your partner and that you like them as a person. You like them for who they are, for their personality, for being great, and you want to spend time with them. So yeah, that is a really, really big, important one.
If you were to step in my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
Oh my goodness, that is an awesome question. I like the way that's formulated, because like people say like, okay, so what questions have I missed for you? Where you're like, no, this is good. Oh, okay, now it's tough. What question would you have asked me? I think that I would have asked why I'm so interested in relationships, especially that I'm not in a relationship. And if that is an question that you're curious about, I'd be more than glad to answer.
Absolutely. Let's go there.
So
Tell me more. Tell me more.
I love people, okay? Like, I love meeting new people. Like, I'm loving this conversation because I get to find out more. And although now I'm doing most of the talking and I would prefer it flipped side, I do love just like learning about new people. And like from when I was really little, I always used to like observe people and just watch the way they behave and how they connect and how they like what makes them tick and things like that. Now, again, in a relationship, you see that the most. Like, why did those two people get together? Or why did those two people divorce? Not in a way of being nosy, but in a way of understanding people and being able to learn from that and connect with more people in general, right? So although right now I'm not in a relationship yet, it's relationships and the way people connect and behave with each other is something that I find fascinating. Like if I see two people who act really interesting together, like in a good way, but like there's like they do something really interesting together, I'm just gonna go like and shoot them 1,000 questions trying to figure out how this works and what they're doing, because to me that's just really interesting. Like the way we work and how we do things I find fascinating.
Now, is this only in a couple's relationship? Did you clarify that? Or is this like if you see friends together and they seem to gel very well together? Because there's different types of relationships.
Oh yeah, so I like all relationships, right? Like friends or coworkers, boss, and all those things. All of them I find really interesting. But by the end of the day, committed relationship is where you see it the most. It's the most powerful. So that's why I went into it as I work with people. That is what I just like the best. But totally anyone, siblings or anything else, like I'll just ask them and observe them and like try to find out what's going on here, what else could I learn, and why are things this way?
That is interesting that you've always gravitated to that. So would you say that you're living or walking in your purpose at this point in your life?
I think, yeah, but I think that if I were to stay like this forever, it won't be. Like, I think this is the basis, this is the foundation for something more and something greater, right? So, like, going back to before I said about like photography, I knew I loved photography and connecting with people and bringing out their best, but that was just basic. So, same sort of mindset with what I'm doing now.
It all evolves and changes and looks different. And 5 years from now, who knows? You could be coaching people who want to take photography and start a business. Do you feel that what you're doing brings joy into people's lives and that you're changing their lives?
Absolutely. You see the excitement and the light that comes out of people when they see pictures of themselves feeling that way. The emotion is so strong, especially people where the relationships aren't going so well and they see like, what, I could feel like this with this person. It completely changed their mindset because now they have a picture to prove it. It's not like people are just telling them, oh, you could make your relationship extraordinary. It's they have a picture in front of them that shows them that even if it was for that few minutes in the photo shoot, it's a proof that it could happen afterwards for longer. So just seeing the reactions of people from that is amazing. That's like before going into what the journaling does and what people discover about themselves and how people heal themselves to live better lives. So for sure, I totally think so.
Do you participate in journaling the traditional way yourself?
So regular journaling, like just writing about my day or what I want to do, I've never done. Like that was a bit why I was hesitant to get into this thing. But journaling, like with my non-dominant hand, I do almost daily. I do either about my plans for the day or how can I make this day better. I have a certain goal for this day. I want to make it better, or a difficult situation that's happening, or my immediate response to something that like is going a little bit difficult. It doesn't have to be like a bad thing, but like, hey, I'm not sure what to do now, is automatically journal. Like that's the way I think. So although I don't journal like typically, I journal like this.
I might try that and test it out to see like what I come up with. I think it's kind of cool to be creative and to come up with things that are like not the traditional thing. That's how new ideas and new things are birthed, because someone decides like, I want to try this and I want to do it this way. So I think that's pretty awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah, let me know how it goes. It is really cool. I'm just going to warn you or like give a disclaimer to the audience that you might try it once and see like, okay, I didn't get anything out of this. All this was like, I don't know what's going on here, and realize that that's okay, right? Because because the answers are so honest and so real, your body's not going to give you answers that you're not ready for. So you might want to try it the next day, a few days later, see what happens, and try it again and see what happens. Maybe it doesn't work for you. I'm not the person that go and say that everything works for everyone. But if it doesn't happen the first time, realize that it's normal and that over time you'll get your answers deeper and deeper and much better answers.
That's absolutely a good point that you made there. Because we can try something once and you're immediately like, this doesn't work. That's kind of like therapy as well. You go to therapy, your first session, you're opening up about like, well, my name is, and this is why I'm here. You leave and some people are like, I'm never going back. That did nothing for me, but that was like only the first session. So I totally get it. Tell me about your podcast.
I'm not the relationship expert. What I do is I find people in extraordinary relationships, whether it's everyday people or marriage therapists or anyone, and find out what makes their relationship extraordinary and how they think other people could make their relationship extraordinary. Get all sorts of people, not always that I agree with everybody, but that's the point, for everybody to find things that work well for them and find ways that everyone listening could also go and make their relationship extraordinary.
I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk with me on Authentic Talks. And if the listeners want to connect with you, Etsy, how can they find you?
Okay, so they could find me by going to lifepicksrelationships.as.ma and book your free mini session there, so that way you could get started and doing this awesome stuff. And thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for having me on. It's been awesome speaking with you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Etsy, for coming on Authentic Talks. I really appreciate talking with you. And you guys, don't you love it? A relationship photographer. That is the first that I've ever heard of that. And I love the idea of creative journaling and expressive arts. I think it's really awesome. And one of the other things that I wanted to share with you guys is that she did mention a book called The 5 Love Languages. And in case anyone is interested, that book is written by Gary Chapman, and it's available on Audible as well as the actual book itself. And all of the information for Etsy is located in the show notes. And you guys, of course, I'm going to leave you with a few tips that I found actually works for us, for my husband and I as a couple. And you can kind of talk with your mate and just figure out like what works for you if you are in a relationship. And if you're not in a relationship, then you're getting a head start, because Etsy left some tips and I'm leaving you a few tips as well. One of the first things that I find really works is that understanding that 2 people are in the relationship and that it's not like a third party that's involved that should really be sticking their nose in you guys' business and like just trying to guide your relationship, especially if they're not someone who has the best advice for you in that relationship and don't really want to see you happy. So be careful of who you're taking your advice from, and you and that person are in the relationship, and just remember that it takes 2, for that to work, not 3, 4, 5, The second tip that I want to leave you is that you got to check in with your mate. Check in with your partner, your wife, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, and see how they're doing, and just kind of measure the relationship and where you want to go, and just staying connected, So always checking in is a good thing to see, just to assess, and make sure that you guys are good. And that doesn't mean like where you're going to flop down and go, so where are we? Are we going to break up? Are we getting a divorce? Or anything like that. But it's just like, hey, how's it going? How you feeling? Just checking in with them and not letting too much time go by without having that communication piece, because it's so important, and I find that it helps you to stay connected in that relationship. And the third tip that I'm leaving you with today is make sure that you take time for the 2 of you. And this is something that we had to learn, and we're still working on this because we have kids, and oftentimes we put the kids in front of the relationship. And when you're really trying to have an amazing relationship or marriage, you definitely want to remember to have that you and your mate time Because if you have kids and that's the excuse that you have, just remember that one day the kids are going to be grown, and then you'll be like, okay, we got to really get to know each other again. So I would say take time out to date, have couples night. You can also do little special things. Like it doesn't even have to be where you're going out because there's COVID-19, but just taking the time where you have you and your mate time. So just remember that. And once COVID-19 is over, implement that date night or date day, whatever you want to call it. All right, you guys, I hope that you found that you were able to walk away with some awesome information and things that you're able to implement in your life, in your relationship, or when you get into your relationship. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Shanta with Authentic Talks.